Come with us on a journey into the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. We will test your senses and challenge your beliefs. A world where science and religion clash. Or do they? You will meet real people and hear real stories, but you will not believe. You will witness strange sights and hear strange sounds, but you will not believe. This is the New England Ghost Project. Welcome to the nightmare.
Good morning and welcome to Ghost Chronicles. You are joining me, Dr. Kim Landon, this morning as guest host, I guess, with Ron. I'll do it right, though. I won't pick on your name. Kolick and Lou Blasi.
New England's own Van
morning.
Helsing.
What?
New England's own Van Helsing.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, what? So good morning.
See,
Welcome to Ghost
that's what
Chronicles.
happens when you don't wear freaking headphones.
I don't need to wear headphones.
A lot of people don't wear headphones.
Why?
I don't know.
What's wrong with them?
It ruins my hair.
It's a psychological. See,
You'd bring earbuds.
you are a woman. This proves it more than anything.
Well, he has said since I got here this morning that I am a woman.
I know.
5 times, and I have said to him every single time, yes, in fact, I am a woman. I don't know why you keep pointing this out.
So,
She'll smack your ass too. So I
I will.
like that has never been done to me before by
That is
another
right.
woman that I barely know. Anyway, we did Spirit Quest was in the beginning of October, and I taught a class in the Gypsy Witch cards. And the Gypsy Witch cards, it works from a regular deck of cards. But in order to do the spread for the readings, you have to take out 2 cards that represent the male and the female, because whoever you do in the reading, that's who you take out. The 2 of hearts represents the male. The 2 of diamonds represents the female. And I thought that was very apropos, because a man is all about love and to the heart, and a woman is all about material things.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
what's your thoughts?
That was a setup and a half to just call fighting words out. Really, that was very stereotypical.
Stereotypical. She's analyzing me. I love it. You are a real psychologist, right?
I just
yes.
want to get involved.
as
I'm just,
as opposed to what?
I don't know. A lot of people put little.
I did not pull my degree, as many people sometimes do, out of the Cracker Jack box.
Exactly.
I actually earned mine.
Or some
I have
Caribbean nation.
I have multiple degrees. Thank you very much.
Can you carefully pull your mic a little closer to you?
Yeah.
Don't yell
Please.
at me.
I didn't.
Wow, she's touchy. I could say something, but that's even more worse, so I won't.
I want to
Is
get
it-
involved, but I'm just so scared right now.
Why
is
is
my
that,
mic
Lou?
close? Is my
It's-
mic close enough now?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
All
It's
right.
gorgeous.
God.
You're looking good today, by the way. I see you dressed up for the show.
Oh, he's talking to you, Lou.
No, he's not
No, I
talking
was
to me.
I know. Thank you for telling me that I look lovely today, because I know you're being facetious. And yep, I dressed up just for you with my very cool wavelength shirt.
That's right, because EVPs, you know,
Yeah, right. I
I
wanted to have all the little waves
I
on
like
the front
it.
of my
I
shirt
like it.
for
I
you.
like it. Like it.
Yeah.
Do you ever dress up?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious. I mean, you know,
Wow, it is pick on Dr. Kim Day.
no,
Well,
no.
we're kind of pulling it together here at the beginning of the show because this is all a surprise to everybody. Even though
This is not a surprise. You
I
all knew I
understand.
was coming.
he talked to you
I
about
need
booking you
coffee.
for this week
And you
after
confirmed
last
with
week's
me.
show, right?
Confirmed with me.
Which I had nothing to do with. And then he said, she's on the show, right? And he goes, I don't know. Did you ask her? He goes, yeah. And he said, talk to her. So I talked to you. And you said yes. And I didn't confirm with him. And he took that to assume you weren't coming. And
Surprise.
Whose problem is this? Because it's not mine. I'm going to take over the show here for a second. The
It's
reason why
just
I'm here today is
typical
because
radio.
I'm
Oh.
a psychologist, and I was asked to come on this show because I have a very interesting way of looking at paranormal psychology and parapsychology, and it has a great long history going back into the 1800s officially, but I'm sure it goes longer. But
She did some
officially,
studying.
no, I already know this. And anyway, but it's very cool because lots of people are very interested in it. And a lot of people don't really know the ins and outs of it other than like, oh, they think they see things or they have, contact with the other side or all these other things. But there's actually some history and pseudoscience and some science around it.
What
And-
did she say? I'm sorry. Something wrong with my headset. I thought she said pseudoscience.
Well, there has been. That's how it originally started with some pseudoscience, soft science.
what are you
around it.
doing Wednesday night?
What am I doing Wednesday night?
We got to put her and Steve on here at the same
Why,
time.
who's Steve?
Yes.
Crucify him.
No.
No, he won't.
He'll string around.
She can hold her own.
Thank you.
Steve
No.
Parsons, who's a
Psychologist.
psychologist in
What about him?
parapsychologist in England. They're doing a show Wednesday night.
We do
Oh,
a show.
oh, he's a parapsychologist?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Is he actually a psychologist who does
Yes.
specialty in it, or
Yes.
is he
Yes.
a master's degree clinician who calls himself a parapsychologist?
He has a degree in psychology. That's all I know.
Okay.
I don't dig into that.
Because
important to me.
parapsychologists are really actually few and far between, which is why I'm asking not to.
Actually, I have to correct you because parapsychologists
Not
are
around
quite
here.
common around here. Anybody can call himself a parapsychologist.
Well, this
We've
is
got
why
a
I'm saying
double
they're-
PhD
So
parapsychologist.
ones that are actually official with a PhD are few and far between.
We got a double PhD.
Lloyd
This is-
Albrecht is a
this
parapsychologist.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
So there are some around, but they're not typical. So it's a very small
So,
family.
what's your
of-
definition of a parapsychologist, and what qualifications
So
do
a
you need?
parasite, anyone that calls themselves a psychologist has to have a PhD or an MD or something at a greater doctorate level to actually be called a psychologist. If you're a psychotherapist or any kind of clinician that's master degree or lower, then you can be a psychotherapist or you can be a paratherapist or things like that. But you have to have officially,
A paratherapist.
yes, you have to have officially a
Could I be
degree
a
at a higher level.
Could I be a
What?
psychotherapist?
A psychotherapist, anybody can
Well,
be
you're
called
you're
that.
crazy enough to be one.
Anybody can be called a psychotherapist, but in order to actually be a psychologist who does psychotherapy, you have to have a doctorate,
Oh no, I understand.
right? So, anybody can call themselves a psychotherapist, including people that get a certification online in,
Oh yeah.
without even a high
The
school
Matchbox
education.
certification. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's kind of important that people know the distinction because there's a very
Well,
vast
the-
difference.
Because I feel like I'm going to need another career soon.
The Ryan
Sure would.
Ryan Institute
Yes,
issues
and-
parapsychology degrees.
Well, but the Ryan Institute and Duke University are actually official.
Yeah, but so say you take a course from Lloyd Albrecht at the Rhine, and they issue a
Certification, right?
yeah.
So you can't be called a psychologist. You can have you can be a certified parapsychotherapist, and they may call you a certified parapsychologist under that certification, but you have to have the degree to be actually.
So what do you actually need to be certified?
Well,
John's telling me to look out when I'm getting warned by a Marine.
oh, John. Oh, yeah. What was your question? Oh, what was your certified? Oh, something about certified. Well, he's talking.
That was my fault.
Just ignore me. I'm only a freaking host.
John made me laugh, and
Listen,
Fine.
listen to
You
me.
must dominate. I understand.
This is an important distinction because it actually validates your whole existence of your show in credibility, because lots of people are out there doing psychic work and
Uh-huh.
they call themselves parapsychologists, but that's not what that is. Psychics and mediums and telekinesis and people who do ESP and telepathy, all that stuff is not necessarily
no, we
psychology.
only
It's-
deal with the PhD parapsychologists here.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm here.
Or I don't think.
To straighten me out.
Yeah.
I am not a parapsychologist.
No.
I am a paranormal scientist.
Right. And that's different.
Yes.
Which
Even
is
though I've been told there's no such thing. So
well, that's not true.
whatever.
Who says that?
People who get annoyed by you, which is everybody, by me actually.
I was like, who gets annoyed by me?
Not you, me. Not you, me. Yeah. But
Well, so I am here basically because I was going to talk to you because we've been talking about the different ins and outs of why people believe what they believe, or if they really see things, or if they don't see things, and what makes it for some it's totally obvious, and some people they don't ever have these feelings, and like there's all kinds of cool stuff about this.
I like you because you're very well organized. She came in here with a plan, and she's going to put that plan no matter what the hell happens.
Yeah, she hasn't had enough time with you yet.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, I can
glad-
wing it. Do you want me to talk about like cats? Let's talk about cats.
No,
I'll talk about all five
you're
of
doing
mine.
good. No, I'm just impressed with you that you're so. I mean,
Well,
Steve,
structure.
Steve's like that too, which doesn't work with me.
I have
but-
these discussions with people on occasion where talking about ghosts and spirits and things like that. And I'm a bit of a skeptic, and I'm never one of these people who has these experiences. So normally what I get from those people is, well, I'm more sensitive than you. And it's a matter of
So I
it can
would
be
say no.
it's a matter of interpretation.
Now, so I have a friend who is a practicing medium. I do have friends. And when we talk about it, we would say that that's not that you're not as sensitive, it's that you're more closed off to the experiences happening to you. So they don't come to you.
Worse.
Sorry.
So let me ask you this, and this is something we always talk about in neuropsychologists. So I'm looking for the official explanation here.
Stay low, Lou.
Lou, go under
Again,
the
not
radar.
something you want to hear from a Marine friend.
Go. Ask me the question.
No, Lou's doing fine.
I'm sorry.
You're doing good. I
No,
don't
I'm sorry.
care. You know, it's fine. Anyways,
Just gonna smile.
yeah. So this question comes up a lot, and there is an answer that is
My shoes just fell off. Sorry, I'm up high today. I'm sitting up high in the chair for people who can't see me, and my shoes just fell off and hit the floor. Sorry. It's live TV. Let's go. Question.
so yes, yeah. So a lot of people, ask why children see spirits.
Yes.
Okay, and this is the standard answer, and I want your opinion. Let me finish the answer though before you jump all over me. Just because I know the way you are already.
Now here comes. I'm a woman.
Yeah, because you're a psychologist. Anyways, so the answer to that is that when we're born, our mind is developing along the way. So if we see spirits or ghosts, right, then we just think that's normal. And eventually what happens is our parents, our caregivers, the ones who nurture us and take care of us, say, well, there's no such things as ghosts. And, don't be scared. There's nothing there and everything else. And then eventually our brains shut down to this openness. And we trust our parents who are feed us, change our diapers, do all that cool stuff. And our brains shut the rest of it out. So what that's just like pretty much a standard answer. So what is that valid or?
So, well, there's little pieces of that I would say that are valid. So do you want me to give you a more technical, heady thing that's neurological?
Check this out.
Ready?
I got a ghost coffee. Check it out, dude.
Oh, you do. Look at that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Look,
I
he's
think
very
I know.
distracted. I think he has
I'm
low
sorry.
attention deficit disorder.
I'm Pisces.
Wow, that's definitely true.
Okay, do you want me to answer the
got it.
question or not?
Fixed it.
Okay, I'm just going to ignore that and answer the
That
question.
was
So,
so
Lou.
cool. Yes.
So
Yes, go on.
when little kids are born, like we all have been,
Yes.
the brain obviously is developing, but there's sections of the brain in all of us, and they're related to the emotional center of the brain, and it's the limbic system, right? The limbic system has the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus, all of our regulators. But the really important one in there is called the hippocampus, because the hippocampus has to do with memory and association, and it's part of our emotions. So we're very novice and a blank slate when we are coming up through, and so we're open to all these experiences because we're learning and wanting and knowing. So little kids are very open to everything. So anything that would come in extrasensory, right, say in the sixth sense or anything else, would be possible
Which
to
we
come,
don't know exists.
which we don't know exists, but if it does,
Mhm.
would be very receptive to a child's brain in that section of the limbic system, which would integrate that in and be stored. The issue that you're talking about is the socialization and knocking out of the ability to keep channeling that. And it's not just from parents, it's environment, it's from social media,
Peers.
it's from peers, it's from anybody around you that would be shaping you or norming you in some way.
Well, we say parents because we say early development, being a baby and going up those first few years, you have very little social contact.
Right. But typically the socialization, when you talk about this particular shutoff valve, essentially isn't usually until kids are, kids don't really report after 8 or 9 years old. So around 7, 8, 9, because 0 to 6, most kids have got everything set. But most of the time when kids start talking, at least in my experience of kids that will come in and say they're seeing things or they're hearing things or they have like a friend in the room or all these things, they go until about 7, 8, 9. And then the socialization seems, if they're talking out loud to other people, it's like, don't tell your friends that, you're going to have a problem with that. Ooh, why? So there's something going on. Usually 0 to 6, there's nothing nothing really being imprinted from social, because kids aren't typically running around talking about that until they get into school. So it'd be more down the road as the brain is into like the social cognitive developmental stage, which is 7, 8, 9 ish. So the brain and the limbic system, that emotional center, it's not that it shuts down to it or turns off. It just compartmentalizes it so that, if it's not allowed, or it's really strictly shamed or made to, feel like it shouldn't be there, then kids will shut that off.
So I understand that our memory, we have two types of memory, short-term memory and long-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot process all of the memory, all the information we receive each day. So the short-term memory grabs whatever it wants, chunks it, and selects it, and then whatever they decide to put in the long-term, we put it in that long-term memory. So we don't know what determines what grabs that, why we grab that particular information.
Well, we do know. There's lots of not lots of answers, but there's specific answers to context. We associate, the best way I can describe it simply for everyone listening is we associate in experiences that are meaningful to us. And what's meaningful to you or me is going to be associated differently. And we linguistically and cognitively and neurologically will imprint into our brain, for lack of a better word, things that are meaningful in our cortex. So it's really from person to person. We're having the same experience. You might remember it. I might not, because it didn't mean the same thing to me, essentially. So it didn't mirror neuron, or it didn't have any meaning in the same way it might have to you. So therefore, your long-term memory would store it in mine. It wouldn't necessarily. And
isn't that another portion of that is that when we experience something or see something or whatever, we at that point we collect that information, but as we go further and further down the line, that event or experience, not all the bits and pieces are there, so we tend to fill in the rest.
Yes.
And which is why eyewitnesses are very
poor witnesses.
Yeah,
right. Because eyewitness testimony typically doesn't have, there's very.
It's actually one of the worst types of evidence.
It's one of the worst, especially over time, when you come back to someone 5 years later and ask. Now the story has many more pieces of it, which is, when you watch those, 2020 Dateline ID, and they have trial over and over again over 10, 15 years. And then they say, well, how come you didn't say that the first time? Well, over time, people keep rehearsing in their head story after story, and then they hear things from other people and they integrate. So the only time really eyewitness testimony is really good is right in the very moment. And typically if people give a lot of detail, it means it's probably inaccurate. It's people who can give like a little bit of detail that's pretty spot on is much better than people who can go, the person was wearing a blue jacket with a red hat, like on and on, and they were running, and we know time and time again that just doesn't integrate.
Yeah. The ironic part of this, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, the ironic part of this is hypnotists will tell you that you take in all this information and you store all this information. It's just a matter of accessing it.
Yes.
So they're capable of accessing it, even though they're making
we don't
up
store
details.
Everything, though.
We don't store everything. We do compartmentalize some stuff, and a lot of stuff gets kicked out. We hang on to certain things that have emotional connection, or they have some survival quality to them for us that we've made association to, that it might help us in the future, kind of thing. And there's some random stuff, but hypnotism, hypnotism is just a mindful state. It's just kind of, people think, it's not about getting up on the stage and quacking like a duck.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it is, but hypnotism is really bringing yourself into that mindfulness state of just your subconscious and your unconscious drives and needs. Freud would love this, about how to really access things that you're just not cognitively aware of all the time. But it's very hard to access that. And hypnotism, people say, oh, it helps PTSD, people with trauma, people with, addiction. And I don't do hypnotism because it's a hit or miss kind of empirically validated sort of treatment for things.
I do another podcast with a psychologist, a doctorate psychologist, who
I know
he's cheating on you,
who dabbles in hypnosis and was involved in several high-profile
Yep.
criminal trials
Yep.
in the New Jersey area, including one where he got a witness to actually pull a license plate out.
That's awesome.
That obviously, and we walk around, and it was about a missing girl in a mall situation, and the guy's walking through the parking lot, and he just happened to notice this couple in a car, and that was all, as any of us would. You just happen to see a couple in a car, and it gets your attention for whatever reason.
You can get a medium to do that.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Depending,
Depending, like psychologists, they're a good.
But the fact that he pulled this license plate, an accurate license plate that led to the conviction out of a guy walking through the parking lot.
So that's where it's, that can be hit or miss. And there are some really good hits on it. Just like, mediums can, some really great mediums. I know.
But it exemplifies what we take in, and our
Right.
mindset is based on what we focus on. We take in a lot more stimulation than we process.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is like what Ron's saying, is that we take it in, but we don't necessarily integrate it. But if you go into that mindfulness state of being subconscious and unconscious, it can come up if you have the right person asking and doing the right technique.
Which I'm guessing is the basis of paranormal, most paranormal activity, in terms of not the activity itself, but I mean, when you do a seance, for example, it's about creating a state of mind that is receptive to this sort of thing, right?
Oh yeah, as far as that. But that's with anything. You play sports, you play hockey. It's about creating. Well, you do sports, right? Yeah.
It's the mental space and the mental state. Sure.
Just sports. She's an Olympic athlete, but yeah.
I'm talking about treating sports, not
Yeah.
doing sports.
Yeah.
Doing sports by treating.
Fight.
Anyway,
That's the way we are.
the thing,
Because we're
The
too much
semantics.
alike.
yes,
That's the problem.
and that's the thing is that we have in our mind the two parts of our brain. And once again, I yield to you on this. But there's two parts of our brain. One is the part where, well, there's lots of parts of our brain, but the two I'm talking about is the action part where we actually do something, and the planning part where we actually think about what we're doing. And we have pro athletes that will practice their shot, practice their pass over and over again in this planning stage. When they go to access it in real time, that portion is already ahead itself. So you get more record. They actually practice to get better in their.
Well, because it's been integrated, because it's been repeated and practiced over and over. So
even though it's not physically
right.
mentally.
Well, that's why mental aspects of anything in life, whether it's sports or work or trying to even just be in your general like happiness state, the more you practice it, the more it becomes automatic. I mean, that's the whole premise of doing.
But to continue the athletic part of this,
therapy.
there's a lot of work recently where people are thinking through practice.
Yes.
Like you can.
Well, that's not new.
You can create muscle. It's not new, but
That's what we were just talking about.
they're enhancing it.
Right. So it's right. It's
Were you here 2 minutes ago?
No, that wasn't what you were talking
Yes,
about.
I was.
oh my God. You guys crack me up.
Yes, exactly.
No, we're talking about creating muscle memory through
Yes,
thought.
that's exactly what I was talking about.
Okay.
Through the planning stage, you were actually. Oh, never mind.
No.
Okay, so
Then I
yes.
missed it.
Okay.
To answer that again,
So yes, there's oh my God, you guys. Oh, I'm gonna need to have an extra session for both of you afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, the mental planning, it's mental rehearsal essentially. So you're practicing either through visualization or you're doing some kind of affirmation process, which is the whole premise of psychology and helping people like perform better or to get access to some of their material that they need for like performing in a school exam or running the mile or doing whatever. So, but people do that it's the mental rehearsal. So that goes into the long-term memory, but not everything goes into the long-term memory like that, because you can study for an exam over and over again. And then the next day I'll ask you a question about it and you can't tell me the answer, but you could do it for the exam, but that was just temporary.
so I should always write your answers on your hands.
Right? Cheating is good.
All right, so let's talk about
You call it cheating. I call it mental stimulation.
let's talk about practicing in the field. In other words, on this show, I always describe to Ron, there's two people walking in the woods, and one guy says, "Oh, look at the blue jay, look at the deer, look at the muskrat over there," and the other guy's going, "These mosquitoes are killing me." It's all the same stimulus, it's all the same environment, but one person is tuned in more than the other. And so when Ron and I are walking in a abandoned warehouse,
Hand in hand.
and
Arm in arm, swinging. Are
and
you
he
skipping?
has a voice or an EEP, and I don't. What's going on there?
Oh, I have so many things that just ran through my I'm trying to be good and behave.
You don't have to.
Oh, and I hear stories of ghosts floating through my house, and I don't see any of them. What's going on there?
But it goes. So I would say,
Yeah.
given what psychology would say about that, is that you're just not open to it. That's not something that you're open to. You might think you are, but in your actual experience,
What does that actually mean? Open to?
Yeah.
so that you're willing and wanting something to exist around you, that you're okay with that you would be accepting, you might even be inviting of it in, that your mind is clear and ready for the possibility of something else around you. And many people don't walk around like that. Many people are very closed off because we're socialized into, it's kind of like breathing. Have you ever seen a baby breathe, you guys? Babies breathe really, really great, like full on, like their whole bodies move in and out, right? And by the time a kid gets around 5 or 6 years old and you watch them sleep, they don't have that anymore, because socialization, this goes back for decades of knowing this in child development, is that socialization makes us go, 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 go. And now your breathing patterns change, which is by the time you get to me as an adult for therapy, I have to do a rework of the breath.
Reboot of your breathing.
Right, because everyone breathes up here. So similar to what you're asking is, when you were a kid, you were maybe more likely to be open to it, because I think most kids are open to that, but they're quickly shut down to the existence of anything beyond what you can see. Kind of gets into the concept of Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy and all these things. And then
Careful what you say.
I understand. And having all these things out there that people are putting out there, and then kids try to figure out what's really going on. And do they understand it from like the fantasy? Do they understand it from reality? That's one of the best ways of talking about it, with sometimes new information and kids trying to process that.
It's really nothing to do with the paranormal, but SID, is that a problem with the same thing with the breathing?
Well, so there's a lot of stuff that's been around that.
In case you don't know, we're talking about sudden death
syndrome, right? So SIDS. So we know that it's usually there's some schools of thought on this, but it's often thought of it's a breathing issue, which is why the whole technique of babies sleeping now on their back versus their front, not being no bumpers on the beds like we grew up with, and there'd be blankets and sheets.
So we survived it.
They don't do any of that anymore. Like if you see cribs, everything is secure, locked down tight, so that there can be no bunching up. A baby, if they roll, there's like these little boppies now.
I used to duct tape my son to the bed.
Probably not recommended, but yeah, okay.
So there's no way to roll, and so sudden infant death syndrome is, typically if it happens, it's because a child has flipped over and has suffocated.
So has that got to do with the breathing thing, because it's in a different position that it no longer?
No, it's basically just suffocating because either there's like a stuffed animal or a sheet or like an air constriction of some sort. Okay. Typically, in the cases I've known of or the research I've seen on it, that and there's some other schools of thought on it, like there's a defect in the heart that no one knew about, but usually you always hear. Anecdotally, usually I've always heard that the baby was flipped over on their stomach, which is why everyone tries to keep babies on their back.
We should probably take a break,
Want to take a break?
Yeah.
Are we going to commercial?
Yeah, we're going to do that, I think.
Why do you have to go pee?
Not me. I am like a camel, my dear.
Uh-huh.
Welcome to, you're listening to Ghost Chronicles, what the hell are we here? Morning edition, right here on the net, New England Talks, and on Toji Net Radio, with Lou and Ron, and our special guest, Dr. Kim Lannon. And we'll be back after the following messages.
You have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net or call 978-455-6678.
Are you seeing a ghostly apparition every time you look in the mirror? Are you terrified to realize that pale, lifeless, lack of energy form hovering before you is in fact you? How would you like to be transformed? Healing begins from within, and it's never too late to start feeling good. Are you curious? Interested? Good. Don't wait another minute. Visit transformyourlifenow.org or contact Maureen. The email address is maureen@transformyourlife.org.
Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcasts. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
Welcome back to Ghost Chronicles Morning Edition with your host, New England's own Van Helsing, Ron Kolick, with his guest, Dr. Kim Lannon from your Daily Game Face.
Welcome to PBS Radio,
which you can find Wednesday mornings at 9:45 on
the most boring radio around.
Hey, don't say that about my show.
So help me be more open. Ouch.
Help you be more open?
Yes,
oh, good Lord.
Let me give you an idea of my thought process. One of the iconic examples on this show over the years is we had a woman call, and she was talking about how she had experiences with her father because she would start thinking about her father and she would smell his pipe tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of Occam's razor. And in my mind, smells are very
associated
with memory. No, that's Schrodinger's cat.
I told you I get screwed up with names.
Occam's razor is, to paraphrase, generally the simple explanation, all other things being equal, is the one that's right. Is that a fair paraphrasing?
Didn't you watch the movie Contact?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But my thing was smells are very closely associated to memory.
Yes.
So anything that would spring a memory of your father might bring back that smell. It doesn't mean that there's pipe smell in the air. It means your mind is kicking that up on you. Like when I think of Fenway, I think of Italian sausage subs.
Can you bring up the smell?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, all of that, and yes. So if I ask you both to think about, and all the listeners right now, think about sucking on a lemon. Imagine yourself sucking on a lemon right now.
I've never sucked on one. Why would I?
But
I know.
He's killing
sucking a lemon.
Use your imagination.
Right. So imagine doing that, and if you can do that long enough for like even a couple of seconds, you start to salivate. Why? It's because our brains associate the taste of it, the sourness. You don't even have to have sucked on one to have that come up, because our cortex in our limbic system, our emotional center, and our memory bank, the cerebral cortex area, will go into the association, bring it up, and be able to do that. That's why I can say, go to your happy place, and your happy place might be, baking apple pies. Stop. Oh my God, he's awful.
So I want to have
I
want to have
go
an
to your
experience.
happy place is a real thing.
I'm open and I want to have an experience, but I need a compelling experience. In other words,
have a compelling experience?
I would love to have a compelling experience.
We're gonna blindfold you, and we will guarantee you will have a compelling experience. Great. Don't you agree?
Yeah, now I'm scared.
There's so many things here.
What do you?
So I think he's having a real problem though. I think he's upset essentially.
I'm not upset.
He's not upset. Excuse me. I knew that was going to happen. He's contemplating why he cannot have these experiences and other people do.
It's called PED.
No, I reason them away. And I love the experiences. We talk about experiences all the time that are compelling, that you can't easily reason away. Like when information is shared that people have no way of knowing what that information is.
Let me ask you this. How often have you really tried to do it?
Tried?
Yeah, tried.
Sat down in a room and tried to see a ghost?
Yeah, well, how many times have you sat down on a seance and tried doing an experience? How many times has
he sat in a seance?
No. I mean, that's why he's not having an experience. It's like, well, how come I never hit a home run? Well, have you played baseball? No, but I want to.
So
but people have experiences in their house and their bedrooms and
Yes,
in
but
the
there might have
woods
been
all the time.
there might have been something in their mind or something that they've already done in the past that they're associating that stimulates that portion of whatever their little gray matter is that does it. That's so technical, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
So,
All
well,
yours.
it's all mine.
All yours.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
I've
that
given
the
up.
exposure base, right? Your experience base and your exposure base isn't there. So when you don't, I got a golf clap. When you don't have the exposure base and the experience base in general. Now, and those are two similar, but they're not always the same. Exposure just being in an environment where it could possibly happen. Experience base is like going and, and having something happen over and over because you're around people that happens with, and maybe you just happen to be there and there's an experience kind of thing. But I think for you, if you're wanting it to happen or you're looking for it so you can have the experience, I would force yourself to then go and see something, with someone that actually does that, so that maybe you could open up to it and be around it. And even then it might not happen as well, because your brain might have the ability to block this out because it's just not available to it. Maybe it doesn't really want it. Maybe there's a fear base underneath that in the amygdala that says, I'm too afraid of that, because it would be, even though you might be interested in it, your brain might say, not so much, because you weren't supposed to, or that's not something you're supposed to believe in. If you speak to certain people about their religious beliefs, this is a big no-no in a lot of religions. This is like a big crossover.
What is a no-no?
Believing in anything other than God or Jesus or Allah.
Why can't you believe in both?
And well, have you been around people that are really
Catholic.
devout?
Excuse me.
Ron's a fairly devout Catholic.
He's what?
A fairly devout Catholic.
Okay, but you don't usually get that, because in my upbringing in
See, I
Catholicism,
don't count.
well, you do count, but I'm trying to say something here. You don't get that a lot, because I was brought up Catholic, and it was a no-no. It was pagan. You don't believe in any of that stuff. You get shut off to it. My clients that I have come to me, talk about certain things, and oftentimes will be like, I can't do that because my parents told me I'm not allowed to. It's playing with the devil.
You
Like,
go
there's all this-
blind.
No, that's a different
All right.
topic.
Okay. Oh,
That's
sorry.
masturbation.
Take on my lone paranormal experience. I've had one experience in my life that I call paranormal. And what?
I'm just waiting. I'm
No,
waiting.
and I've told this story before, so I'll try to be brief with
I
it.
know it. I'm
He's
not.
very
My
serious.
father was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and at the point he was in remission. At that point, I had a regular
Don't you
schedule
feel
of
bad
seeing
now?
him
Mhm.
every other day. This is years ago now. I had a schedule of seeing him every other day, but I couldn't see him on a scheduled day because I had a rehearsal dinner for my ex-wife's sister. So I wasn't going to be able to see him. So I called him here from work, and we had a discussion on the phone, and I hung the phone up, and about a half an hour later, I got an uncontrollable urge to go see him. Like, it was very strong. And I'd like to say, the skeptic in me would say, well, you heard something in the conversation. And I didn't. He was in remission. He was home. Everything was fine. But I left work. It was that strong that I went in and said, I'm leaving early. And I left work and I went to see him before I went to rehearsal dinner. He died during the wedding the next day. And it was like the compulsion of that.
So you've had the experience.
I've had that experience. And
Right.
that's one that I can't
now
reason away or can't.
So now neurologically,
Yeah.
So if I go pure science and fact, right? Neurologically, we are connected to our parents. Just like if you've ever seen anything with twin studies, right?
Mhm.
Twins have a way of being incredibly connected in terms of telepathy and ESP, all kinds of things that, one could say it's paranormal or parapsychological versus the fact, but family connections are very strong. So neurologically, one would say that there's a neurological bridge that's able to be connected to in some way. Now, that still brings in parapsychology, that somehow we're kinetically and telepathically speaking to each other through our neuro pathways.
Yeah.
So that would be one way of thinking of it. Also, just having a heightened sense of intuition between it based on the neurology between you and your dad. That's a really common experience. I hear so many of those kinds of experiences from patients about, like, they saw something happen. I've had that with my dad. Got hurt years ago, and I saw him standing in the doorway and the phone rang, and he was a full 12 states away from me, and the whole thing, like a whole long story about that. But we're connected in that way. Now, so you can either go full science and neurological connection like that to say, okay, you were connected to your dad. He was sending you the vibe. You're very knowledgeable that you were sensing something was happening, blah, 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 and it connected. Or you can also go with, well, you are kinetically, telepathically talking to each other.
So there's a science base that, for example, you and your father over a 12-state difference have a connection. There is a connection of some sort.
There's some, I mean, so I go towards the more paranormal stuff. Do you like my technical?
I do. Yeah, I like that. You talk like me.
Right? So so he was working and he got blown off of a machine, and I didn't know this, and I was in Florida, and it was like the middle of the night, and I remember waking up, and the shadow of his whole body was standing in the doorway, and he said my name, and I fully woke up, and I woke my mother up, and then the phone rang maybe a few minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, saying that he had been taken to the hospital because he was really badly injured. But I specifically woke up to his apparition in the doorway, which he
So
almost
you actually saw him then.
Yes.
And
so
you woke up your mother before
and I woke up my mother
the phone
and said,
call
"Oh my
came.
God, did Dad was called, and then the phone rang and then the whole thing."
See, that's a compelling story.
Right. And so come to find out, he almost died. So my guess is in that blast off the machine, he jumped out of his body. And my dad tends to dabble a lot, even though I wasn't allowed to do this because it was a no because of religion. My dad was big into telekinesis and teleporting and ESP. And
Was he really?
Oh, he's very much into that.
Mm-hmm.
Did he keep alive?
Out of body experiences, which I used to tell him he was psychotic. Which used to get me in lots of trouble. Does he keep a log? Probably he did. I'm sure he did. He logs everything. Who knows? But
Who
See,
knows? You just poo-pooed that off. This is a man's lifetime of research.
I understand that, but that's a different story.
I'm generally open to a type of collective consciousness.
Right.
And an establishment of that really is a basis for paranormal activity.
Right.
If that exists, and that's why I always love compelling stories, that it actually exists.
Yes.
Because that opens a whole new world, a whole new room of reality.
The problem is we don't know what a collective consciousness is. We have our own theories, and there's absolutely no proof of it. But in religion, God may be a collective consciousness.
Right. Well, it's like the Borg.
Yeah. The Borg.
The Borg.
Yeah, see, like
the Force. The Force is very much,
having been raised Catholic, that's why I go kind of the opposite way. What we consider God is our collective consciousness. You're going, God is our collective consciousness. You can go either way.
It's something we don't understand.
Yeah.
But before I forget, and I'm so glad that you went into some parapsychology stuff, psychology stuff. It was great. I am looking for participants in a psychological study. It doesn't matter your own particular beliefs or with the paranormal or not, or whether you believe in it or not. All it requires no skills. You can do it any part of the world, and it requires very little effort. And so if you're interested in taking part in this serious psychological study, contact me at NEGhostProject@Comcast.net, NEGhostProject@Comcast.net, or you can message me here on Facebook. This is, we're building the base now. We need a large base for this. So yes, we need people. So sign up.
Well, so I'm asking a question to clarify for your listeners: is what are you looking for from them in terms of
very little?
Okay, do they need to have experience with anything? Do they have? Is it about beliefs?
Nope.
Okay.
He's crowdsourcing. He's psychologically crowdsourcing.
Crowdsourcing. What the hell does that mean? I'm looking for, what do you call participants in a study, right?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you call it?
You're generating.
You throw a principle. Crowdsourcing is you throw a principle out to a ton of people and collate the results.
Yes.
Crowdsourcing. That's not quite the way it is, but that's fine.
Okay, explain to me.
It's not about some freaking new product.
He's doing a research study, and he's gaining information, and he needs a lot of different
Gracias,
people.
Senor Rita.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And he needs lots of information.
I.e. crowdsourcing.
Yes.
Okay, whatever.
You're
Your
doing,
tomato, my tomato, my potato.
You're reaching out to random sample people.
Yes, random sample.
Right.
Although your name doesn't have to be random or sample. Anyway.
So I'm interested in the liaison between traditional psychology and parapsychology.
No, not going that way. No, I buried that. I'm done with it.
Wow.
Okay.
I want to look at something I have 2 topics that I do want, and we're running out of time, so I want to get these up.
You get
These
as much time as you want.
Ooh, look at him kissing your butt.
No.
Anyways, there's 2 topics I do want to talk about, and the first one is old hag theory and or sleep paralysis. As I look at you saying old hag theory, that wasn't too cool.
I know. Did you see that? He looked right at me when he said old
You're
hag.
the psychologist.
And he
Yep.
stares
I'm
at me when
sorry.
he said it. It was like old hag. He even like made an emphasis as he
I
looked at me.
I saw
Wow.
Because I was thinking of the other term for it at the same time. My mind goes on in 1,000
So
places
the
at
old
once.
hag theory, and what was the other thing?
This
you
is a
said?
good
Old
subject.
hag
I like this
syndrome or sleep paralysis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like this
Are you
subject.
familiar with any of them before I even pursue this
Well,
conversation?
I'm definitely sleep paralysis. I understand very
Okay,
well.
that's another word for old hag
I know.
syndrome. Yes, okay, dear. Carry on. So what do you want to explain that first of all, psychologically for our listeners? Because I can explain it, but
Well, you
I
explain
can't-
it, and I'll
I-
jump in because you haven't said a
no,
lot.
no. I want it from the official, signed degree thing.
But it's your show. But what do you want to know about sleep paralysis?
Ron suffers.
What is the definition? What is the definition from sleep paralysis?
Well, so there's multiple different wavelengths of sleep, right? You go through different times of sleep, right? In the cycling, right? So depending on where you're at and depending on what's going on in
Mhm.
that particular part, particularly REM, which is your dream state, you can get into it, which is your last state before you come back into your lightest level of sleep. Your body goes into paralysis. So in that state, it doesn't go into paralysis in 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So that you don't hurt yourself with.
So you can wake
yeah.
up
Right.
quicker.
So if you're jumping somebody, you're not really
Right.
jumping, or if you're killing somebody, you're not really killing your wife.
Right. So like in the first
Or
stage of
partner.
sleep, it's called like, when you have that feel like you're falling and then you
Yep.
jerk, that's called a hypnic jerk. So that's because you're still within your conscious range and so you're going to go through alpha, delta, beta, not in that particular order, wavelengths. And then finally, when you get into the sleep paralysis state, it's when you're dreaming, and that it's very short. People think they dream forever and ever and ever, or they say they don't dream at all. Everybody dreams. Right. What? Oh God, whatever.
What?
He swore.
You have proof of that?
Yeah, on air. But you get stuck
It's open to interpretation.
very, very quickly, and then that's why when you wake someone up in that state, it can be dangerous. It can be people usually sleepwalk in that state. That's why you don't wake up a sleepwalker, even though they have paralysis. It's not necessarily
That's why you duct tape them to the bed.
okay.
So what's gone wrong when you're in when
Not-
you're
Wait a minute, nothing's going wrong.
conscious but you feel paralyzed?
Nothing's gone wrong. Everybody goes through paralysis when you go into that state.
No, I know, but not everyone's aware of it. There are people who are essentially awake but cannot move.
Well, because you're shifting back into the light state of sleep, which is your first stage. So your first stage and your REM are like right backed up to each other. So you're in between. It's like you're almost out. So it's like, it's like when little kids have to pee and they think they're peeing, but they're peeing in the bed because they think that in their mind they've gotten up to go to the bathroom. It's usually on that last shift over to the first.
What's it with you and
Kind of anti-sleepwalking.
What?
Anti-sleepwalking.
Anti.
You think you're sleepwalking. You think you're walking, but you're not.
But you're
Yeah.
right. Or people that go ahead and like eat in their sleep, because they're dreaming, but I mean, sleep paralysis is typically what happens to everyone in that short span of time in the REM, because it's what's keeping your body in repair mode and you're able to process through, and then it jumps you out, which is why you go back into the light sleep and you cycle back through.
But it's always
which is why 8
described.
hours is good, because you the more you sleep, the better repair process, and that's why you get rested versus not rested, because you go through those periods of sleep paralysis.
But it's usually described as a period of someone being awake and in fear because they can't move. They want to move, but they can't.
Right. Or they can't run, or something's going on.
There's more to it. Even
Yes.
the most
Yes.
common one is that there is someone else in the room with you.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Something's
someone else
happening.
sitting on your bed. There's someone
Right.
on your chest. Or
Something's happening.
Something's
You can't-
happening.
Right. You can't scream.
Yeah.
You can't run.
you
Right.
can't speak. Right.
So is
That's
that
the other-
just all crossover between the two stages of sleep?
Yeah, I mean, scientifically, it's because it's the crossing over. It's the end of one cycle and coming into the lightest state.
Yeah.
I mean, but parapsychology would say that it's something else.
I had
potentially.
well, not necessarily. Depends who your parapsychologist is.
Depends.
I had that happen to me one time, probably a couple of years ago. I think it was a year ago, maybe 2 years. But anyways, but I was aware that it was happening.
Mhm.
But I had still had all the symptoms of it.
Yeah.
But I was cognizant of its happening, and I wanted to make it last because I had never experienced before, and I was trying to understand it more.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
So
and did you go through that process of like having to say though, oh, this is just a dream, but you know you're
originally I thought it took me a while to, because I had the fear. I thought I saw someone there, and the whole thing, and then I realized my consciousness or whatever kicked in, and I realized what was going on. Yeah. So I mean, it is a
Who
cool
did you
thing.
see?
Well, sleeping is really
You really
hard.
didn't see a person in general.
Just you were aware someone
there.
was there. Yeah.
The sleep cycles are constantly being studied because like paranormal activity, we don't know. We know by brainwaves and stuff, and we speculate what's going on, and we know it's reparative, we know it's restorative. That's why we put people into comas so their bodies have time. But there's a lot we don't know and we don't understand because there's so much technical neurological activity happening to do things, which is why you see when people have, they go under general anesthesia, they can report back a lot going on that you would think, oh, you'd never would think that. So they revamped in the past 25, 30 years, mostly in the past 20 years, a lot of surgical areas that there's music playing that's calmer. There's conversations are kept between colleagues supposed to not be talking about, the party they were at, because people's conscious is constantly aware and going. So if like the doctors say like, oh, this isn't looking good, and they are not supposed to be doing that anymore because it neurologically is going into the brain and integrating into that sleep state that they're put in, because it activates the will, even though we don't have a structure for the will to live, but there's a
Do we really know what
motivational-
consciousness is, though?
Well, we don't, there's no spot for it we don't go, oh, there it is. We just know that it exists. We know that there's a
Well, does that
level.
explain, for instance, like some people will see themselves over or something, so they're
Mhm.
actually looking down on it? Would that explain that possibly consciousness, or perhaps even the soul, leaves the body at that time?
So good point. So in psychology, right, a lot of times when people are anxious, right, it's dissociating. So when a person's super anxious and gets a panic attack, for instance, they'll tell you, and if you guys have ever had one, it feels like your body leaves itself and you can see.
I'm having one right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Poor baby.
oh. I'll give you a hug.
Yeah.
I have duct tape.
See, this is what I deal with.
So the body actually feels like it comes out, and it comes out of you and then exists outside of you because it's the way of the body defending itself and protecting itself from whatever the fear, the fight or flight. So the fleeing out is oh my God, detaching from the actual existence of, which is what, trauma victims go through, sexual assault victims go through, people who've been to war, all the, and then just general everyday kind of people who have panic attacks. I mean, I deal with this daily, that people just go in and out of their bodies all the time. So it's dissociating, but that's when it's anxiety based. When people are doing it on purpose, like my dad, right? He would take himself out and in on purpose. I mean, he would always talk about getting stuck.
Okay, so we hear these stories all the time, and they're interesting, and I think I understand why they would occur, and I can see situations where in distress, you could imagine yourself outside of the body. In other words, I have a perspective on this room. I can imagine what it would look like standing over there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's possible to me. The ones that I find compelling are when near-death experiences and things like this, where I know there are some emergency rooms that put messages on top of the lights and stuff like that.
There has been.
So people are getting information that they couldn't possibly get without actually physically being in that other space.
Maureen, when she had a near-death experience, and she was able to hear a conversation that her mother had in a hallway outside the operating room, and was able to repeat it. So.
Well, that's one of the ways that we've gained a lot of information on parapsychology information to validate the experience, because so many people time and again can report accurate things that there'd be no other way they would know.
So that requires physical relocation.
Right.
The information, sometimes this information requires physical relocation,
Right.
not just mental relocation.
Is it physical? I mean, we like to measure everything in a physical because we live in a physical
Right.
world, but
Tangible.
right. Is it something beyond that? In other words,
Yeah.
even this is, we're going back to the greater consciousness or whatever. Is it just an attachment to something that's greater than our physical world? So we can witness and do everything. I mean, one of my biggest problems with, and this goes back to hypnosis, of course, is past lives.
Mm-hmm.
And hypnotists will say, okay, they can remember all this, they can remember. Well, we know that you can't remember everything in your brain, even
Right.
as we live now. Why are they coming up? Would it be more feasible or more easy to understand that this person was just merely accessing a greater consciousness where they were actually connecting to the experience of this person that lived in the past, if they ever did?
I mean, certainly that's
It's
interesting.
that's a
we don't know.
possibility,
I mean,
like
it's
past life
crazy
regression.
stuff. It really is.
That people do past life regression and go into that space, and that's certainly a part of that theory
Yeah.
that could absolutely be
But
that way.
much people rather jump on the thought, because it's romantic, by the way, that, I was somebody else in my past life, And,
Yeah, but
Until
see,
you have
the
a
thing is,
medium
if
tell
you-
you that you were somebody that wasn't good, because I've had that happen to people before.
I'm not discounting either
yeah, but they probably
possibility.
have guilt in this life that they're dealing with.
I'm not discounting either possibility. And by the way, your argument is kind of compelling. I kind of like that idea. But if you apply Occam's razor,
Can
the
you just
simplest,
give me a compliment?
yeah,
He did.
Wow.
that's a more complex explanation than reincarnation is, I guess, in a way.
To me,
do you
it
know how human development, we develop things that tend to mimic biological things, right?
I'm not sure what
What do
you're
you mean?
saying. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of a good specific example.
that would help.
But we
Just saying.
No wonder
I have no
Roger has
clue.
anxiety.
we create things that I'm trying to think of a good specific example that would help this out.
We got a couple of minutes, don't we?
I was going to apply it to the quote unquote collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And my idea of the collective consciousness has always been what the internet has turned out to be. In other words, we're all there and we're all at stations
Please don't say that.
and we have access to everything and all at the same time. And I'm not saying it's like the internet. I'm saying we tend to, that what we create in life tends to mimic biological workings. And I got to come up with a good example.
I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to say this, we got to get rid of TikTok, because TikTok does nothing good for anyone.
Are you serious?
I am absolutely
I'm
serious.
going to break out into TikTok right now.
TikTok,
You can do
Yeah.
it. You can do whatever you want, but
TikTok is one of the world's greatest things.
it is cut only to the observer.
And it's going to put psychologists out of work.
I many times a week have to say, okay, Dr. TikTok, thank you for telling me, because people come in all the time with like, well, TikTok. I'm like, where'd you get that information? Oh, TikTok. I'm like, oh, for God's sake, that is nothing related to normal reality.
That's the problem. I mean, the internet, and you brought up the internet, and we do have to wrap it up. But, you brought up the internet. The internet is creating a new reality for us. We can be whoever we want to be. We can do whatever we want to do on the internet. We don't need parents telling us anything. We don't need government telling us anything. We don't need anybody telling us
It's all
anything.
out there.
It's all out there. And we just be whatever we want to
like
be,
the
do
board.
whatever we want to do.
Just like the
Wait a
board.
second, though. If that weren't attached to TikTok, wouldn't that be a great message? Wouldn't that be the type of mindset that we're looking for?
What? No.
That we're not limited by
Whoa,
that we're not limited as people.
Limited is a debatable question. What you mean by limited? Do you have to follow rules? Yes. If you don't have rules, what the hell's going to be society? If we all just did whatever we want. Oh, I like that woman, I'm going to go rape her. That's good. If I don't like that guy, I'm going to kill him. Would that happen? No, that's pushing it to the extreme. But that's what would happen
It
if
is
we get
pushing
rid of it.
Just show it right down the tube.
That's
fast.
sorry.
reducto absurdum right there. But
Whatever.
Back to duct taping children to beds.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. They used to lock me in the closet in school.
rules have a place and obviously should be followed and all of that. But by the same thing, norms are walls we should respect 1,000%. You can go beyond the norm.
Of course
think
you
of a
can.
new way of thinking
Yes, you
and
can.
expand your existence.
Yes, we want us to be the best we can. And, the key to that is the best we can. but you need guidance along the way. You just can't determine what you think is the best. I might determine that, killing people is the best. So this is really going bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it back around.
Yep.
So
Please do, because we're gonna wrap it up. We gotta wrap it up, girl.
I didn't get a chance to actually talk about all the things I want to talk about paranormal.
You can always come back,
And so therefore,
we won't talk again.
I'm gonna say that probably at least 4 more shows to get even little bits and pieces in, because now we're on to murdering and serial killers.
It's his fault.
Psychopathology.
She's already figured out the
and
show.
all these things.
His fault.
But I do think, as an aside, and to get close to ending your show for you,
Thank you,
is
Jeff.
that I think that there's a lot of important things to learn about oneself through the experience of knowing like what's going on around you, awareness, paranormal, whether you call it that or not, understanding your own family life, your own connections to people. You talked about being well and being
That's
connected.
so flawed, Dr. Tim.
Why?
Because you're picking all the good things off of this thing. What about the thing? Okay, I'm not beautiful enough. Okay, I'm not, my parents aren't the greatest parents according to this. I'm not, good in school. I'm not whatever.
Right.
So people see all that out there and they develop inferiority complex or
Right.
even worse.
But if people just go with the fact that if people get a center,
Yes.
of being able to have a good sense
But
of
there is no
being-
center. That's the problem.
Well, no, everybody has a center. It's about now, does the person have a guide to get them to the point where they can be present in the moment for themselves, whether they have bad grades or whether they have a bad parent or whether they have something going on. There's still a space where a person can go in and become energetically, psychically, right? That's, the psyche.
Yep.
Right, the brain connected into being present in the moment of everything around them, whether that's being able to have an experience come in from something outside of you, or just being present so you don't have dissociation, so you don't,
Then you carry that around. Think of what we all did
Okay.
as athletes growing up, where we became athletes and we became confident. And that was the area we excelled in, and we brought it to other areas of our lives.
We do have to wrap
Hopefully.
up. We do have to. Remember, this isn't supposed to be an hour show. So anyways, any final words, Kim?
I have
wow,
so many
that's
words.
challenging.
This was very entertaining.
Wow.
It was lovely.
It's supposed to be informative, not
I just gave a
entertaining.
what 30 seconds ago. Did I not do a beautiful wrap up of your show for
okay.
you?
Thank you, Dr. Kim. It's been really great speaking with you today and
Can't
amazing.
wait to come back, Ron.
Oh, God.
You invited me.
Must have been a point of weakness. It was a woman, so my heart went fluttered because I am the 2 of hearts. And so that was it. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us today. Lou, once again, great. Tune in next week. I'm sure we'll have something else. Remember, I'm looking for paranormal participants. I mean, not paranormal. Psych. Oh, God, I need help.
I'm here.
We'll be back. Bye.
From ghoulies to ghosties, long-leggedy beasties, and things that go bump in the night. Deliver us, good Lord.